Every guy dreams of having two vehicles in his garage, a high-performance sports car and a beast like the one we're looking at today. This project kicks off when a man wins a 2018 Dodge Ram 2500 at auction for the scrap metal price of just $11,000. Under the hood sits a massive 6.7-liter Cummins turbo diesel engine. The reason for the rock-bottom price? This was a catastrophic wreck. The most severe damage was underneath. The tie rod was snapped clean off. The steering box was heavily damaged, and the wheel bearing had been ripped apart. It's hard to imagine the sheer force of the impact that caused such destruction. The exterior was just as bad. The paint was stripped away, revealing large patches of rust. The passenger side was mangled from front to back. The builder explained that this was a recovered stolen vehicle, and the extensive damage was the result of a high-speed police pursuit and forced stop. The massive rear wheel was also bent out of shape, a difficult repair that would require a lot of work. The rear of the truck was in better shape, with only a dented rear bumper. The real issue was underneath, where the rear axle shaft was completely severed from the differential. It was clearly unsalvageable, held in place only by a chain the builder had used to keep it from falling off during transport. Despite the carnage, the builder was surprisingly pleased with the truck's condition, especially considering the $11,000 price tag. A look inside the cab revealed that all the airbags had deployed, but the interior itself was in decent shape and all the electronics and features still worked. A great start. He turned the key, and to his relief, the Cummins engine fired right up. The only downside was the cab, which was filled with trash and reeked of a foul odor. With a full assessment complete, it was time to make a plan. The first priority was getting the truck mobile. The builder sourced a used rear axle from another Ram and got straight to work. He jacked up the truck and removed the rear wheels. The high ground clearance of the Ram made the job much easier, and he quickly disconnected the emergency brake lines and ABS sensors. The broken axle came off without much of a fight. It was covered in rust and even showed signs of a previous shoddy weld repair. Who knows how long it had been sitting in the option yard. Using a forklift to maneuver the heavy replacement axle into place, he first transferred over any usable parts from the old axle, like the brake components. With help from a friend, he bolted the new axle to the frame and mounted one of the wheels. The other wheel couldn't be installed yet due to its warped rim. He moved the bent wheel into the shop and, using a hydraulic press and metal shims, began the painstaking process of straightening the oblong rim. With periodic heating and careful adjustments, the rim slowly returned to its round shape. Once it was fixed, he mounted it on the truck and was finally able to drive the Ram into his main workshop. Next, he removed the front wheels to inspect the suspension. He already knew the wheel bearing was toast, but to his relief, the rest of the suspension components were surprisingly undamaged. This was a huge stroke of luck. With that confirmed, he began the teardown. He started by removing the damaged front fender and grille. He noticed a few small cracks in the grille, but they were minor enough to be repaired later. The mangled fender and shattered headlight came off easily. This revealed more good news. The damage was purely cosmetic. The underlying frame rails were perfectly straight, which would save a massive amount of time, effort, and money. The disassembly continued with the removal of the front bumper. This exposed the only other point of damage to the front frame, the tow hook mounting area. Critically, the radiator and other essential components were completely untouched. With the front end damage assessed, he moved on to the destroyed front and rear doors on the passenger side. Since they were beyond saving, he used brute force to rip them off quickly. This revealed a minor dent in the B-pillar that would need to be pulled out. He also took the opportunity to clean out all the garbage left behind by the previous owner. A week later, he was back at it, this time focusing on removing the truck bed. He salvaged the tailgate and taillights before unbolting the bed from the frame. With the help of two friends, he lifted the entire bed off the chassis. Now the real repair work could begin. He started by replacing the damaged steering box with a used one to keep costs down. With the new steering box and wheels on, he turned his attention back to the body. To access the damaged C-pillar, he had to remove the entire rear seat assembly from the cab. The C-pillar's outer skin was completely crushed, a daunting sight. He removed the rear window to get a better look and found the factory spot welds, giving him a clear path for the repair. He moved the giant truck into another part of the shop and chained it down securely to a frame machine.
Using a hydraulic puller and a sledgehammer, he carefully pulled and hammered the dented C-pillar back into its original shape. Next was replacing the damaged body panel itself. He had already sourced a clean replacement panel from a donor truck. After drilling out all the spot welds on the damaged section, he used a chisel to separate it from the inner structure. The underlying frame was, once again, perfectly fine. He then repeated the process on the donor panel, cutting it to the exact size needed. He test-fitted the new panel and made final adjustments to the C-pillar to ensure a perfect seamless fit. He then test-fitted the replacement doors, also sourced from a junkyard, and a new OEM front fender. The panel gaps weren't perfect. The B-pillar hinge points were still slightly off. He had anticipated this and already had replacement hinges. After several adjustments, he got the B-pillar perfectly aligned. With everything lining up, it was time to weld. He cut the replacement C-pillar panel to the exact size needed, and his experience showed in the perfect fit. But before welding, he decided to tackle the front wheel bearing. He knew the truck wouldn't be truly drivable until it was fixed. Once again, he headed to a massive local junkyard. The yard was a gold mine of parts, and with a keen eye you could find almost anything you needed, saving a fortune on repairs. After a bit of searching, he found his target. He borrowed a jack left behind by another treasure hunter and quickly removed the entire knuckle assembly he needed. Back at the shop, he removed the damaged wheel bearing and brake assembly from his truck and installed the salvaged parts. The truck was now fully drivable, a major milestone. He could now focus on permanently attaching the new body panel. He ground the paint off of both the truck's body and the donor panel to prep for welding. After clamping it in place, he meticulously welded it on, following the original spot weld locations. With the major structural work done, it was time for body work and paint prep. They masked off the areas that didn't need work and applied body filler to the welded seams. After several rounds of sanding and filling, the body was smooth and ready for the next phase. He then moved to the interior, removing the front seats and center console to access and replace the deployed airbag module underneath. The dashboard also had to come out to replace the passenger side airbag. Instead of repairing the old dash, he had already sourced a pristine used one, which was far more cost-effective.
He swapped over the instrument cluster, infotainment screen, and the original ignition lock cylinder before installing the new dash, a used steering wheel airbag, and the rest of the interior components. More good news arrived. He found an excellent condition 2020 model year truck bed at the junkyard. The only issue was the color, but for a pro like him, a repaint was a minor inconvenience. He sanded the repaired C-pillar one last time, masked off the front of the truck, and sprayed the repaired area with primer. While the primer dried, he removed the shattered windshield and replaced the damaged tow hook mount. The sheer availability of parts highlighted how efficient the repair process was compared to more labor-intensive methods. After a final sanding of the primer, he moved a massive truck into the paint booth. It barely fit. After extensive masking, his friend, a skilled painter, laid down several coats of black paint, transforming the two-tone truck into a uniform, sleek beast. While the paint cured, the builder replaced the deployed curtain airbags and reinstalled the headliner. He then installed the rear window, followed by the rear seats. He had also sourced a used windshield, which he installed using the same method. He had also picked up a used front bumper and a new one. After some minor bodywork and a fresh coat of paint, he installed them, along with the grille and a pair of blacked out headlights. The final major components were the doors. He had scored a deal on 2 new OEM doors from a dealership, but they had minor cosmetic flaws that needed to be addressed with filler and sanding before he painted them himself. With the new doors painted and installed, he realized he needed window glass. It was back to the junkyard, where he quickly found a front and rear door glass, along with door handles. He painted the handles to match and installed them, along with the salvage glass and the original interior door panels. The last piece of the puzzle was the nearly new truck bed. After a light sanding, it was painted to match and bolted onto the frame. With the taillights installed, the epic rebuild of the 2018 Ram 2500 was finally complete. While he didn't show a final road test, the question remains, was spending $11,000 on this wreck worth it? Looking at the final result, the answer seems to be a resounding yes.